Need to lower the volume. The volume is right here.
Mute your phones, everyone.
Thanks. Oh, Joe?
Yeah.
I have to mute the screen. How do I do it? Because everybody's telling us we have to.
Hi guys, sorry for that. Had a little mix up here. We weren't expecting this many participants, so if we have a lot of people that can't get in, we'll either do another presentation. We're also recording this, so it will be on our website shortly, probably early next week, if not sooner. What we're going to do is have a district presentation for our configuration plan for next year. As well as a presentation specifically for the new middle school. We have Shana Wright, who's going to be the principal of the new school next year. She's in the screen here, if you see. Also, we have some other district administrators that are here and staff members, board members. Obviously, I see a lot of familiar faces. Some people I don't recognize and some I do. For everybody, just if everybody's never been on a Zoom call before, you can stop your video if you want. I have everybody muted right now. We'll see how it goes. I know we'll probably have a lot of questions. If you can type questions in the chat box, we'll try to answer as many as we can. What we're going to try to do is I'm going to have a district presentation first. Answer any questions that anybody has. It's not really going to be specific to any one school. And then Ms. Wright is going to have a middle school presentation after that. So we're going to get started in about 30 seconds. I just kind of want to make sure that a few people are in here that I need. So just give us about 30 seconds to a minute and we'll get started. All right. Again, I just wanted to tell everyone, thank you for your patience, not only for this meeting tonight, but also throughout this whole remote learning process that's new to everybody. We have a max of 300 participants. So like I said earlier, for anybody that wasn't listening earlier, we'll either do the presentation again, and we also will record it so everybody can see. The higher plan to upgrade to requires calling in, and nobody, that's not going to be possible right now. So we upgraded as high as we could without having to call in. So we're going to get started in about 1 second. And Shana, you can see that, right?
Yep,
Okay, great.
all good.
All right. So again, thank you for coming. Again, this is going to be a general overview of our district reconfiguration plan for next year. And there's some other information in this presentation. Some of it we had in our budget presentation, which is still on our website and is in the section of superintendent and will be in the business administrator section as well. And some of it is some new information and some of it is our philosophy. And again, we'll answer questions when we're done. So here's a little overview of some of the things we'll be discussing tonight. Our K-5 district referendum project and kind of how that ties into the way we're going to have our schools, the way we're going to set up our schools in the future. Grades K-2, which is still, which is what we have now, 3-5, 6-8, and obviously our high school. And we did a lot of research in this area. There were some things that initially in the referendum that was passed a number of years ago that we had to change. And there were some minor changes that we made based on a number of different reasons. And I think we're in a good place with that right now. We're going to talk about curriculum, instruction, and program throughout our district schools. Different technology initiatives that I think are very, I'm looking forward to. Things beyond academics, a lot of the other things that we offer, fine arts, sports, clubs, a lot of different things that we're going to be doing. Facilities, obviously facilities, not only the normal things you think about facilities, but obviously with COVID-19, we are going to have to look at, like other districts will, new mandates. I think we're prepared for those mandates. I think we have a lot of equipment already in terms of things that can sanitize our buildings. There's going to be requirements, and obviously I think we're already in a good place with those requirements. A number of staff members are in our buildings still, and we have different types of almost like a smoke gun that you've probably seen before that really does about, from what I understand, 99.9% of different types of germs. As far as that, we are waiting for guidance from the state on more things. Different expenses that the district has to encumber. For more specifics on that, I'll probably ask you to look at our budget presentation that we did a few weeks ago in April. And just the collaborative efforts between the Board of Ed and the Township of Lyndhurst. We have a shared services agreement. For those of you that don't know, the new school is something that the township has, we're very grateful for it. The township is building a new school and handing it over to the district. And we're proud of that. We're happy, we're grateful, and I think we're going to try to do our best to make the township proud and our school district proud, and obviously parents and students. It's really going to be a beacon for the district. A lot of schools, a lot of colleagues have already reached out to me and other administrators, other teachers wanting to tour the building. Obviously it's not done yet, but it'll be done very soon. And there's a lot of buzz around it, so there should be. It's going to be an awesome place. It's going to be state of the art. So we thank them for that. So for 2021, you're going to see a few slight changes, but I'll just outline some of the major things right now. So community school is going to house all of our pre-K 3 and 4 four-year-old programs. We'll also have our preschool disabled programs there. So basically our preschool will be at community school, which really won't be a change, but they won't really be in our other buildings for now. Franklin, Washington, and Columbus will remain kindergarten through grade 2. Memorial, this is going to be new for some people that may have not heard it. Memorial will be closed for the 2021 school year. The rationale behind that is it's one less transition for our students going into 3rd grade. Instead of having to go to Memorial for 3rd grade, which is what we've done. And the staff at Memorial is awesome. Our principal, Mr. Rizzo, is awesome there. It's just one less transition for kids. And what will happen in 21-22, when we finish our K-5 referendum, Memorial will become an additional K-2 building. So we have that space. It will still be our building. And that's how we're going to move forward. Lincoln School will be permanently closed after this year. That was part of the agreement with the Township of Lyndhurst with the middle school. So Lincoln School will be permanently closed. I know a lot of people that are from here have a lot of memories from Lincoln. Again, another great staff. same principal, Mr. Rizzo. They do an excellent job. And those students that are in Lincoln School now that are going into 4th and 5th will be dispersed amongst Jefferson and Roosevelt, which will be, if you see in the next part on the top right column, grades 3 to 5. Again, we were kind of toying between just 4 and 5 next year and leaving Memorial alone. But in terms of the transition and staff being together, it just made a lot more sense to have them do that now. We have Memorial available if we need it. I know people have talked about COVID-19. We're waiting for guidelines from the state in terms of what's going to happen next year. And the easy answer for all this is I wish I had a better answer for a lot of the questions that are out there. For all I know right now, the governor could be sending out something about, I know a lot of the big things that we're kind of holding out for graduation and different end of year events, but also next year. I mean, realistically, we're also, now that school, physical school, being in school is closed for the rest of the year, we're waiting to hear about what restrictions, if any, will be in place for next year. So we're planning probably actually a little earlier than normal. I did send out in a correspondence how we want to make sure that not only obviously our staff members need to move things and get things, but our students. There obviously are maybe some personal things that were left in school. When this first started, a lot of us didn't know. Hopefully we were going to be back in 2 weeks. Obviously we're not, and we know where we are now. But there's still a lot of information that we need before we move forward with anything. And I know this isn't really relevant to this district meeting, but I thought it was important for me to say that, especially in terms of 8th grade graduation, 12th grade graduation. We're holding out hope for something as close to traditional as possible. A few schools have moved forward with some ideas. A few schools moved forward with some aggressive ideas that were kind of stopped for different reasons, whether it be from the state or local level. Obviously, whatever comes down and whatever we do, if it is something that involves anything outside or something of that nature, even if there's state guidelines in place, we're going to check with our local police, our local township, and make sure that they're okay with it and that we're on the same page. So again, believe me, the second we know and can think of anything, we're going to let you know. We are planning for a number of different options. And we just, unfortunately, with some things have to wait a little bit. And sometimes that's a little bit better than moving forward with one plan that may restrict us from honoring our kids a little bit more than honor our kids a little bit more. We want to be as traditional as possible. So I'll keep going here. Lyndhurst Middle School, grades 6 through 8, and Lyndhurst High School, obviously, grades 9 through 12. Some of the highlights of our district reconfiguration. Complete schedule makeover for our kindergarten through 8th grade students. So that's something I have to really give a lot of credit to our K-8 principals, K-8 staff members, including our counselors, and Mr. DeCorso and Ms. Stevens, who are in student services and our director of curriculum and instruction. It really is going to benefit our students and our staff, a lot more common planning time and things of that nature. Reduce transitions between buildings, which I already discussed. Removal of the 80-minute block in some of our buildings with periods ranging from 48 minutes to 53 minutes. Now that's not the high school. So I just want to be clear with that. That's K-8. Obviously not some of the younger grades, but the removal of the 80-minute block, which based on research, a lot of times some people can justify it from our point of view and our philosophy. It does not work. Cohesive instructional teams for co-planning and collaboration. I kind of hinted at that with common planning time. Consistent special area schedules for both faculty and students. That includes art, gym, computers, world language, which for us is Spanish, music, and health. Less travel and movement throughout the day for increased instructional vigor. Enhanced special education services due to improved schedules. It's really going to kind of blend those schedules a little bit better, and our students won't be missing the same thing every time, and it's really going to help. And staggered start times, obviously, in all our buildings, which we already have, to allow for ease traffic patterns. Obviously, we're going to be dealing with a new traffic pattern with the middle school, and that's something we just have to be mindful of and something that we're planning for. Middle school students will be offered a variety of electives for the first time. I'll let Ms. Wright get into that in her presentation. I think there's some excitement out there about that. I know that some people had some issues getting on that. We've sent out some other correspondence, and we'll have an email that you could send to make sure you get assistance if you need to open any of those items. There is no time limit in terms of getting on first, so don't worry about that. If you had an issue getting on, I got an email or two. There's no first come, first serve where you can take your time. So if that was the concern, we'll make sure you can get on. High school students will receive their schedules earlier, and additional high school classes will be added. Some are new classes, some are classes that we're reintroducing, including some AP classes that we're kind of eliminating some and adding some others. So we're not really adding a lot more new on top of things, but we're changing some things. So it's really exciting. We don't want to forget about our high school, and any district that has a high school, we want to make sure that they're, really kind of leading the way and the hub. Curriculum instruction and program. What are some of our goals that we kind of have as a district? Oversee the goal of delivering instruction that is standards aligned, data informed, student-centered, and driven by the commitment to transform our students into lifelong learners who are well prepared for their college and career pursuits. You hear a lot about this, critical thinking, problem solving. Those are the types of things we want our students to be able to do. Obviously, for some of the parents out there, including myself, sometimes when you're doing different subjects, maybe math, it's different when maybe I did it 30 years ago in school. But there's a method behind that madness, and really a lot of it has to do with how you get to the answer as opposed to the answer. So that's just a very simple way of kind of explaining that. And student-centered, obviously, is something that I wish was in place when I was a kid, because we're not sitting necessarily in rows. I like to call it controlled chaos, and kids are moving around. They're really leading the lesson. The teacher is just more like a facilitator, kind of helping, walking around. And obviously behind the scenes, they're really doing a lot more than they were in the past. And obviously we also want to be data informed. So we're really looking at our test scores. Obviously we're not going to be able to do that this year. We want to look at those assessments and see what we're struggling in, specific categories that we may be struggling in, and we really want to focus on those areas. So Mr. DeCorso and our administration look at something called Link It that we purchased, which is a great program. It really helps in terms of helping us deliver better assessments, both formative and summative. And it really kind of leads us and really, I almost like to call it like a baseball card for those of us that used to collect baseball cards. You kind of get to see those stats and what people are struggling in and what they're not. And it really tailors it to that individual student, almost creates like that specific menu for them. So it's really good stuff. To more effectively meet the needs of all learners in K-12, lesson planning and the delivery of instruction will continue to include flexible groups, student-centered approaches, differentiated strategies, rubrics, checklists to foster the students' abilities to assess their own learning, and higher level verb prompts, questions, STEAM activities to promote. Again, we want our students to own their work. Again, I talk about student-centered. Differentiation is just really kind of individualizing instruction. You can look at it in any activity that you do. A good music teacher, a good coach, they're gonna work with some kids different than they're gonna work with others. So it's really the philosophy that we wanna do. And I think our teachers have really owned that philosophy and really do a great job with it. So curriculum and instruction and program continued. We'll continue to use the Danielson teacher evaluation tool. A number of years ago, the state mandated that you'd have a specific model in place for evaluating staff. And we use the Danielson teacher evaluation tool. There's 4 domains, basically planning and preparation, classroom environment, instruction, and professional responsibilities, which a lot of our teachers go above and beyond and really thrive in that area. But your real meat and potatoes, a lot of times we used to talk about the classroom environment and the instruction. But the planning and preparation part with the student-centered approach is more important than ever, because that really kind of leads your lesson and makes it be able to be student-centered. So you can prioritize one over the other, but they're all very important. And having one of these models in place is a mandated requirement by the state. Led by Mr. DeCorso, our teachers, not this past summer, but the summer before, revised all our curriculum maps. Our administrators were involved in this as well. This helped us in passing QSAC, which is really the accountability rating that the state of New Jersey gives you. There's 5 different categories, and the category that is really very important to us is instruction and program. So in that area, we got an 87, which we didn't pass for a long time. And again, to get over an 80 is passing. We want to keep going higher. It is scheduled for us to receive another visit next year. It's usually every 3 years. That might be on hold right now based on some things that I've seen, but it'll just be the following year, if anything. So we are preparing for that as if it's happening next year. Readers Writers Workshop is an initiative that I was involved in, and I won't say that I led because the teachers really led it. In a district I was in previously in Bergen County. And it's an amazing program. I mean, really what I like to think of is the importance of a child being able to read in first grade. And we really want to make sure, because that kind of leads to so many other different things. And on the opposite side, on the flip side, it could lead to so many negative things. And the research has shown that. So we're phasing that in the next 2 years. We want all of our teachers in all of our buildings to be on the same page. We want to go visit other districts that have been successful in doing this. We want our teachers to really lead the charge on this, and we want them to own it. But we also want them to know that we're going to phase it in. You know, we're going to make sure that they feel comfortable doing it and they feel like they have the resources and support to do it the right way, because we don't just want to do something to do it. New science and social studies curriculums in grades 6 to 8. So we're excited about that. Technology overview, excuse me. We're going with a one-to-one Chromebook initiative in grades 6 to 8 for 2020, 2021. We're excited about that. Transition to Chromebooks, laptops in the high school over the next 3 years. We want to make sure that we transition while we're transitioning the middle school at once, that we slowly transition the high school as well. So as those students go into high school, there'll be a few years where we have a little bit of a gap between different devices, but it works. Again, something I've been involved with in the past, and our technology department here is great. And we have a lot of teachers that are, as I'd like to call them, educational technology specialists. We have a director position that oversees technology as well. And Mr. Zacorso, again, is very involved in that also. Extensive iPad carts in grades K to 5. So a lot of those iPads in the high school will possibly go down to the K to 5 buildings. If they don't, we're going to get new devices down there, because actually Apple has a very good buyback program that really just came into play very recently based on COVID-19. Based on a lot of this virtual learning, a lot of countries really outside of the US are really dependent on these devices. So there's a big demand for them. So, you know, one way or another, we're going to get more devices in the elementary school. Initially, we just wanted to move them down to the elementary schools, but because we may have a option to have a buyback, we may be able to get something actually better. These iPads still are in very good shape, and we're going to use them one way or the other. Chromebook carts will also be added in grades 3 to 5. So that's something that we're going to try to do as well. So as we kind of continue to transition, we're going up and we're going down, and we're working around that middle school. Our middle school has a very comprehensive STEAM lab. So again, one of the things we wanted to do at some point when the middle school was ready was have a presentation like this, or 2 or 3 presentations like this for middle school students, students going into the middle school, as well as parents. One during the day, one at night. Obviously, we can't do that right now. We will do it when we can, and I don't know when that will be. But when we are in that building, we want to be able to try to do something as long as there's no restrictions in place. So again, it's something that you have to see. It's amazing. Like I said, it's state of the art. It basically looks like a new, university building. So again, we're very excited about that. There will be interactive smart panels in every classroom at the middle school. Over $600,000 of technology infrastructure will be funded for the new school. So those are not just, we're also working on the entire district. we're looking at our entire infrastructure, internet capacity, Wi-Fi access, as well as our district phones, which will be connected to the internet as well. So there'll be a lot of upgrades in those areas, not just for the middle school. Obviously, the middle school is set up for everything new. So there's a lot more that goes into addressing a lot of our other schools, but we want to address everything at the same time. So we have a plan for that over the next few years, and we actually have going to have this in play next year. So we're excited about that as well. Again, just beyond academics, some of the things we do in our district for somebody that's new here or just some information. We have a great visual and performing arts program. We have great art teachers. We have art shows that are amazing at the elementary level as well as the high school level. Some of the work that our students do is something you'd see, in a museum. So it's amazing. Our music program is one of the best ones in the state, hands down. If you've ever seen them perform at halftime, it's something to watch. Our athletic programs consistently win conferences, championships, as they did this past year. Our football team, we really do a good job. Our coaches, Mr. Radigan, our director, our supervisor of athletics, overseeing that. And, having a middle school come in is exciting too, because we can build on that as well. Great relationship with the rec programs in town. We offer a number of clubs and activities. Let me go back a slide, sorry. We offer a number of clubs and activities, not only in our high school, but more in our middle school as well. And we want to get some of those down to even the lower levels as well. We really like to emphasize character education and citizenship. And that's something that our counselors work on with the principals, and our staff members infuse that into their lessons. Obviously, mental health is a big concern and a big issue that we want to assist with. We are here. We're a resource. We have counselors in our buildings. We have a director of student services. All of our principals have different training in this area. Our teachers are very well informed. There's mandated training that they have to do, but we really like to stress it as much as we can. And again, we know it's a very sensitive time right now for a lot of people. So we are there. And we are available. So just reach out to a teacher, principal, this office, and we'll get you to the right resource. Different community partnerships that we have. Obviously, I spoke about the township, but things in the township, obviously, not only things that fall under the umbrella of the township, but different businesses in town that work with some of our students. Our special education students get to do a lot of community-based instruction so they can have real-life experiences in the workforce. And it's something that the town businesses are very, very cooperative with. I don't think we've ever had an issue, whether it be, a small business, a bigger business like a ShopRite, TJ Maxx, they're great. So we really want to foster experiences that make our students well-rounded. I don't have it in this presentation, but one of the things we've done the last 2 years really, and really have taken it to another level, is our Unified Club, which works under the umbrella of Special Olympics. I would be remiss to say, our staff members that are leading that charge are doing an amazing job. We were going to highlight them in a South Bergen Jointure Commission meeting. It's a conglomerate of schools, districts that have a board that I'm on, that we were going to talk about Unified Club, because we're really the model to look at. So I think we got a $20,000 grant last year for Unified Club. We're still doing activities now. And I'd really like to thank all of our staff members that run that program. So, facilities. Obviously, we purchase custodial and maintenance supplies and materials, and we're obviously looking at that more closely than ever with COVID-19 and all the things that go into making sure our schools are as safe as possible. Ensuring the health and safety of the property. Again, COVID-19, I just want to make sure I mention it because it's really going to be at the forefront. Performing preventative maintenance of the facility. It's something that's been done here for a while, and we want to continue to do that. We want to make sure that we address things before they become an issue. We have some very old buildings, some things that we have to catch up with. And as we get into a little bit about expenses, we'll talk about this a little bit more. We're starting to build a nice reserve account in both capital and maintenance reserve, hopefully at the end of the year to address issues that come up, whether it be a roof at Jefferson, a roof at Franklin a few weeks ago during a storm. It's always good to have, just like you would in your house or your apartment or your condo or your townhome, a little nest egg in case something happens. So it's no different than that. And, we don't want a boiler to go in January. So little things like that really keep us open. Our K-5 referendum, which we'll have a separate meeting for to address the specifics of that and the buildings that affects. So basically Columbus, Washington, Franklin, and Roosevelt, for the most part, are buildings that are getting the majority of work. That work is supposed to start this summer. We are not aware of any delays. We're looking to move forward, and we'll be sending out some information soon that has more specifics in it. If there's any restrictions, not even related to COVID-19, we'll let you know about them. And at some point, if there is work that's done during the year, it may affect parking and traffic patterns. So it's something we'll have to work on with staff and make them aware of it, as well as with the local township and police. In April of 2019, we received a security audit by Thomas Gambino, Office of Emergency and Preparedness. He was actually somebody I spoke to yesterday. He's been visiting a few districts. He is in charge of that department for the New Jersey Department of Education. And he's the person that told me that there will be more guidelines coming out from the governor/commissioner of education regarding some of the things I talked about in the beginning of the presentation related to graduation, coming into buildings to pick up items and things like that. I don't think we've gotten into next year yet, but obviously any school year has to have like a closeout of some sort, collecting items, picking up items, cleaning out things. How exactly that looks like, we're preparing for a few different things. Some of our principals are helping me with that in creating a plan. We're probably going to start with our staff and get into the parents and students after that. Long-range facilities plan is a plan that you have to have in place as a district when you're doing major projects. They have to be in your long-range facilities plan. So I just wanted to put that in there. And capital maintenance reserve is that nest egg that I talked about, where you can address a large construction issue in a capital reserve account, and you can address a maintenance issue in a maintenance reserve account. Again, it's a nice little nest egg to have. And if you don't have a lot in there, you have to use what's in your budget already. And sometimes you're potentially having to eliminate things or being very tight. So I think we try to be very fiscally responsible. As a lot of people may know, there was there's a deficit that we no longer have. We received a loan from the state. We have a state monitor, Mr. Egan, and it's something that I think has been good in a lot of ways, because we've been able to, now that we're even, we've been able to address a lot of issues. Some of the expenses, some of this might be related directly to the middle school, but really across our district, things that we have to pay for. Obviously, operating costs, heat, electric, AC, if we have it in certain buildings, et cetera. Our maintenance and custodial equipment and supplies, transportation costs, whether it be to and from school, to an event, to a sporting event, to a competition. We pay for that, as well as students that attend out-of-district placements, whether it's a approved private school for students with disabilities or a county vocational school, et cetera. Obviously, staffing is a large expense that any district would have to pay for. Curriculum and instruction, whether it be professional development, trainings, materials, supplies, and obviously a big thing for us is technology and devices. I spoke about it a little bit in the beginning of the presentation about the middle school as currently a township project that they're handing over to us, and we're very grateful for that. So the Township of Lyndhurst is providing the district with a new state-of-the-art school. The township and school district have a shared services agreement, which helps us, very often, and hopefully helps them as well. And we will continue to always explore options that will build on the excellent relationship that we have with the township. Because we have this shared services agreement, we kind of always look there first. when possible to address issues, whether it be something that we don't have the right equipment for or something that they can do that we can't. I'm looking at it from my point of view. Like I said, hopefully they reach out to us for things as well. We're obviously, they're first come for our facilities when they need them for something right after our teams or events that we have. So it's something that we really like to have in place. So let me actually shut this down and see. I'm actually looking through the chat box, so we're going to try to get some questions answered here. The questions that we don't answer here, I'm going to make sure I save if I don't have an answer for them, and we get back to everybody. That's a nice message from a student. We are in an unprecedented situation, and I look forward to seeing all of you guys. Mr. Rizzo is awesome. How is distancing going to be addressed now, funneling from 3K to 2 schools to only 3 to 5 schools with the closure of Lincoln? So as I stated earlier, we still have Memorial available. Again, we have to wait to see what that looks like in terms of recommendations and guidelines. I'm sure if you read a lot, like I know a lot of us do, or watch the news, try maybe not to get information on social media as much. Sometimes you can't tell the difference. There's a lot of different things that other countries have done, and sometimes that is a lead to kind of see what could come here. I've seen a lot of different things. It's probably going to be something that comes down from above us, but I can assure you that whatever the state comes down with, if there is any choices, we're going to always err on the side of caution. We've closed buildings before here. We've closed classrooms when we needed to. We're addressing a lot of things right now while the closure is in place, some things that weren't as, immediate of an issue, but we needed to do. So the best I can tell you is that hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll see some more information on what this means. Again, I've seen everything from split sessions, which would be not the best thing in the world. I'm sorry, like a half day, morning and afternoon. Based on New Jersey law, you have to have a 4-hour day of school. So that would be a little bit cumbersome and difficult to do. I've seen odd and even days. I've seen everything's going to go back to normal and everybody's going to wear a mask. So nothing has come from the Commissioner of Education in terms of that. The governor has made comments in terms of students wearing masks. Nothing. A lot of times when the governor makes a statement, I'm a little cautious to send something out immediately, because usually the next day or two, more details follow. So that's usually my stance on it. But again, it's going to be something we're very mindful of. And if necessary, we'll create committees. We already have, I already spoke with our local union representatives to create committees with teachers on them, as well as other staff members, support staff, certificated, non-certificated, a variety of different people. So that'll probably include board members and parents to talk about some of these issues if there are options. So obviously they're going to come out, I would think, with guidelines, and then we're going to kind of have to come out with our own based on our specific situation. But it's definitely something we're very concerned about as well, whether I'm talking as a superintendent of schools, administrator, or a parent. It's something I want to be on top of. Again, somebody wrote here about getting into the Google email for the middle school. It was, something that was tied into the presentation. We will get that information.
We'll address it.
Yeah, there's no timeline on getting the information in. Ms. Wright's all over it. You need to make sure. SAC counselor, somebody's asking about a SAC counselor. Was that because of the vaping? I don't know. I thought I saw something else about vaping. It's something that's on our radar. It's not a position that we have right now. Obviously, yes, good idea, SAC counselor. That's something that we'll look into. That's not in our budget for this year. Cannot do it through the policy. All right, we might have to have a vaping presentation. I know we've had a lot my first year in the district, 18-19, but it seems like there's a lot of questions about that. I know that our municipal alliance in town has been very helpful with that. And sometimes you try to take a break from something for a year, not enforcing it, but because there's some other issues that we needed to address. And we focused a little bit on mental health this year. We had some really great speakers. One of my individual goals was to have parent nights. I would love to see this many people at a parent night, and maybe we should do it this way because I think it's a lot easier for a lot of us that maybe have little kids or something. It's actually just popped into my head right now. So we had a few awesome speakers that are local in some local places in town that really had some really positive messages and things. Transportation, we'll come out with information on it. I don't have that in front of me. I wasn't expecting that question. Yes, based on our policy, we will have transportation. Plans to install air conditioning in the high school. Good question. It's something that we're always looking into. I know that was something that a lot of people thought was addressed in the referendum prior to my arrival. It's something that we'll talk about with our facilities committee. If we are mandated to lower class sizes and if you use Memorial, is there funds to hire more teachers? I think we have a plan that if we had to do something like that, we'd be able to split up our teachers, and I don't think we'd have to fund for that many more, if any. That's one of our contingency plans. So we have a few different contingency plans that are in draft form right now, to be 100% honest with you. Vaping again. Good. High school students need to get athletic gear, et cetera. We will be following up. Again, we don't want to send out information and have a plan and break some type of law. I would like to remind anybody that's on here that our facilities are closed. I did ask some students, and they were very respectful today to not be on the field. You know, we do lock our gates, but I think I might still be able to climb it, if maybe not anymore. But we do lock our gates, but please be mindful of those. That's our guideline, but it's also a state and township guideline as well. We would love to have an orientation for the middle school. So if there's even a small window, we're gonna have something. I see Miss Wright nodding her head. Yeah, so here's a good question because it came up today. I'm glad people are asking questions a little bit off the conversation. Email board office at Lyndhurst, k12.nj.us, and I will answer the question, or somebody in this office will answer the question. Question about registration for an incoming middle school student. We just rolled out kindergarten registration. It's going to be very similar. The majority of it will be done online. Thank you, Teresa Brennan, one of our directors, for doing that. She kind of did that from scratch. It was something we were thinking about doing slowly, probably next year, but like a lot of other people, we were forced to do it, and it was a great experience. So you're actually logging right into our system, and it's all going in there, and then we just really have to check it. So you're kind of helping us with the data entry part, and it's really what a lot of districts are going to. So specifically for you, we will help. Just email that. You can email me directly too, and we'll figure it out. Advantages of a middle school orientation. I'm sorry, that's somebody asking about orientation. Would be a middle school orientation. Advantages of switching to Chromebooks from our end. The Chromebook for us is prepares our students. First of all, the keyboard of a Chromebook is a lot more what we're looking for in terms of education. The Chromebook is definitely lower in cost from the iPad. The iPad's a great device, but based on some of the lack of smart boards or Promethean boards we have in some of our schools, sometimes we're not able to do everything we can with the iPad in terms of even the professional development involved with it. A lot of schools have went with a Chromebook as opposed to a laptop because it basically does everything a laptop does. I've had a lot of success with the Chromebook. I've also found the Chromebook to be more sturdy in terms of not breaking and having issues with that. And I know we do a pretty good job here with the covers and everything that we use, and our tech department does a great job with that. But from our end, we could purchase a lot more Chromebooks and really get the same benefit out of them as we would with an iPad. The closest thing Apple has to an iPad is a $699 MacBook. And I noticed because we were on the phone with Apple representatives yesterday. We didn't make the decision yesterday. We were talking about some other things. And by the way, we're going to send out some information about Apple. They do a lot of great training for teachers and for parents. I was really happy about the parent part. It's just anything that they're really trying to expand into the educational world. So a $699 educational MacBook versus a $250 Chromebook. You know, being fiscally responsible is number one. And for what we're trying to get out of it, it's really going to help us. There's different software that you can get for a Chromebook. I think one is Smart Notebook that makes it very compatible to a smart board or a Promethean board. So again, it's for us, it's something that we're going to do. Is the remedial program coming back to Franklin? We have to wait for our Title I numbers to come in. The remedial program is based on free and reduced lunch. We are looking at some other options in terms of offering something similar to remedial. Sometimes it's just as simple as the title, has to sometimes be a little bit different. So even if we can't, if Franklin is not a school that qualifies in that area, or any school for that matter, so I'll just using them as the example because that was in the question. We can look at other options as well. There's not anything budgeted currently, but we are looking at some different scheduling things to have students get extra assistance. We know that's important. That kind of goes back to the thing I said about Readers Writers Workshop. Are the high school classrooms going to get air conditioned soon? Hopefully. I don't have an answer for that right now. Apple computers are better than Google ones. We have a school psychologist opening based on a retirement. Are you hiring a new mental health professional? We will have a full child study team at the middle school. We'll have 2 full-time counselors at the middle school. We will have a full child study team at the middle school, which will include a social worker, school psychologist, and learning disabilities teacher consultant. Students are asked to wear masks. Students are asked to wear masks in high school, have air conditioning to consider. Good point. We should have a few workers to support kids. We're looking to do a lot in the area of mental health. I know it's definitely something that's kind of why we kind of went away from the vaping a little bit this year. With the schools being closed, we're doing our best with construction. We're waiting to hear back from our architect. It's very early. We just approved the lowest bid in our April meeting. So more information will follow very soon, possibly at our next board meeting on the 19th. Mr. Bicey could give us an update, definitely by our June board meeting. And we're looking to start as soon as possible. Chromebooks are virus free. It's a good point. Android based, more apps. And you can purchase about 4 Chromebooks for the price of 1 iPad, but I didn't really want to say that too much. It's a good device. Yes, there will be busing available based on our policy. I would have to know specifics of the distance. IT support be expanded in District 10. We are adding we have budgeted for a full-time tech employee in the district. Whether that's a person that we hire or a service that we hire, it will be the equivalent of a full-time person. So we did budget for that. Welcome, Ms. Wright. Memorial could be used for the 2021 school year. Absolutely. It's not in our plans, again, get into COVID-19. We have to think of every option. And if that's something that's going to make us safer, it's definitely something we would consider. We have a Chromebook, some negatives about the Chromebook. I also prefer a Mac laptop over a Chromebook. Has anybody seen Richie? I thought we were getting a tour of the school. We are trying our best to get a tour of the school. There is definitely a chance we'll have middle school sports at some point. That's always a difficult thing. We would want to be on the same page with the township to make sure that was something that they wanted. You don't want to, I have a sports background, I'd like to think, and we want to make sure everybody's on the same page. We don't want to be stealing our own kids. Is there going to be summer band during the summer? Again, all based on, what our restrictions are. We are planning for our extended school year for special education students, and we are looking into our remedial program for students that need extra assistance. We actually just had an email before this meeting with Mr. James Russo. I know Ms. Stevens, our Director of Student Services, I spoke to Ms. Bernardo, who helped with that a lot last year, and Mrs. Corso as well. So it's something we'll be following up on very soon. We have a uniform policy. Will the new school be open for sure to September? Again, our plan is for the school to be open in September. It's again, the only concern that I have is any restrictions from COVID-19. We are being assured that all construction is on time. The lockers are full size in the middle school. We are not offering a full day pre-K next year. We have half day tuition based. Some of our students that have disabilities that qualify for full day pre-K, we do have that. We currently do not have a full day pre-K offering. That can change in the future. Okay, definitely email me about registration. When the K-5 referendum is finished, will there be more redistricting and movement among students and staff? The only thing that will be different, I mentioned it was probably quick in the beginning, was that we will use Memorial is in our plan right now to be an additional K-2 school. So instead of having 3, we'll have 4. It'll definitely spread us out. We're looking to lower our class sizes, and that's something that prior to COVID-19 was on our radar. I hear rumors that Lyndhurst schools are still planning year-end graduations and celebrations. Is it true? So mandatory for our children to attend it. Do not feel it is safe. Listen, any gathering or event that we have is something that you would have a choice to not do. We are going to be restricted by guidelines that are out there. We're going to try to do what's best. Myself, high school principal, and I know our 8th grade principal said they would be involved if there was one, have all volunteered to be on county committees to try to stay on the same page with neighboring districts in terms of what we can do for graduation. Obviously today, like I said earlier, some towns have thought of different things where maybe you have one child do something. There's a lot still up in the air. Safety comes first, but if there's something that comes close to traditional, we're going to try to do it. So that's why we're not really announcing anything. There's no secret. We're planning for all different types of things, and from as restricted as possible to maybe a little bit more open to potentially even more open. How will be attending orientation for the new school?
I'll take care of a lot of the middle school questions.
Yeah, we'll go back.
Answer.
We'll go back to our questions. Thank you. I think we're good for a while. So I'm going to let you. I'm letting more people in from the waiting room. I know some people left, but I'm letting some people back in. Just give it 1 second, Ms. Wright. Ms. Wright, you could share your screen when you're ready.
Sure. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. Just let me know when you're ready for me.
Hello? Yes. Yeah, I'm trying, no, I know, I'm trying to, hold on one second.
Should I get started?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm having an issue with my computer. I'm calling James. Hello?
Okay. As long as everybody else can see the screen, I'll get started and then we'll take it from there. So I'm very excited to meet you. I know, at least see some of the faces that I know, and everybody else. I look forward to meeting hopefully in person in the very near future. I did send a video out today to incoming 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And certainly I hope to see them in person as well. Lyndhurst Middle School will be the home of the newest Golden Bears, so we are really excited about that. I'll give you a little bit of information about myself. This is my family. So from a personal level, my husband, I have a 10-year-old who will also be going into middle school next year, and I have a 5-year-old daughter in pre-K. So Jaden and Kaya. I was raised by teachers, so a very close extended family, and love community service, the beach, sports, and reading. From a professional standpoint, I started at UW, but for the most part attended Rutgers undergrad, received a master's in secondary education and English from City College in Manhattan, and then received my master's of science in administration and supervision from Mercy College. I am certified and taught ESL as well as English language arts in the South Bronx as a Teach for America Corps member. I also taught social studies for a year. I served as a lead teacher and assistant principal down in Homedale, as well as in Bergenfield, and then as a principal in both Bergenfield and in Belleville for some time. So I am very, very excited to be part of the Lyndhurst family at this point. My vision for the middle school is definitely that through collaboration, critical thinking, communication, and creativity, we will all grow together. So the 4 C's are very important to me, and certainly represent 21st century learning, which I know we will get to do at the middle school. So a couple things, and you'll probably gather this through my presentation, but I really think that the balance of academic challenges, social emotional learning, which I know was touched on by a few people in the comments tonight, but art and athletic exploration, as well as projects and personal dream and talent pursuit are critical and really need to be balanced for a middle schooler in order to allow them to be successful not only in high school but beyond. So the building goals, you'll see again that we're looking at collaboration, critical thinking, communication, and creativity. And we can certainly talk a little bit more in depth about how these will play out and what evidence we will look for to see if we accomplish these goals. But one of the things, unfortunately, while I've met virtually or otherwise every member of our LMS team, unfortunately, we haven't had the chance for teachers and staff members to get together to be part of teams and committees that will work on fleshing out some of these goals, because it's really important for me for not only the teachers to own it, but for students to be part of that process as well at the middle school level. So I'm looking forward to having them do so. In terms of collaboration, just briefly, we're certainly looking at a lot of opportunities for students to develop their character and also be able to participate in things that make LMS, the Lyndhurst Middle School, feel like their home. We have a lot of activities planned, both departmental, extracurricular, so we're really excited about that. In terms of critical thinking, we want to develop students' problem-solving skills and foster their academic growth and achievement, not only for state and local assessments, but also beyond, so that they can prove themselves in the world and be proud that they came from Lyndhurst. In terms of communication, it is my goal, and I think that in as much as possible under these circumstances, we've done so already, certainly communicating with faculty and making sure they're aware of things that are going on, but also communicating effectively with parents and guardians and families, as well as the community at large. We want to make sure that you and your children, students, have everything that they need to be successful. Feel free to reach out. We'll talk about the Encore Google form in a few minutes, but certainly if you have questions, a number of people reached out via email already, and I will get back to you if you can't do that. I know there were some questions. It is critical that you log on or open a new browser and log in with your student, with the child's Lyndhurst account through Google. All students were emailed right before this presentation with the link, so if they log on, they should be able to get to it as well. And finally, creativity. You'll see, based on some of the electives that we're offering, that, you know, I feel, and I am hoping that we will all grow to understand that creativity in numerous ways, not only in teaching styles and programming and things like that, but also in what we offer, are really important for students to develop into the productive citizens of the 21st century. So I am super excited that we have so many people on our team. So in terms of administration, obviously with the support from central office, the directors and supervisors within the district, but I am also very proud to announce, for those of you who may not know from the last board agenda, that Teresa Brennan will be the assistant principal at Lyndhurst Middle School. So the two of us work very well together, and we really plan to have a cohesive team going forward. The other members on the team, obviously, we have our teachers, ELA, math, science, social studies, Spanish, phys ed and health, the arts, technology. We will have a media specialist as well. And I know someone asked about remedial teachers. There will be remedial. It will look a little bit differently than it does now. But certainly we will have that, and all of our teachers will work together and cohesively. We couldn't do it without the support staff. While we are not positive of all of the secretaries, custodians, and paraprofessionals, as well as bus drivers yet, they will certainly be on board soon and are obviously critical to the LMS team. You, as well as the families and of course the students, as you are the ones we are there for, not only to support, but to help and guide throughout the middle school, which really serves as a bridge from young children to adults or almost adults. And our social emotional learning staff will be with us along the way. So that includes guidance counselors. We will have 2 guidance counselors, one of whom does have some SAC experience and certification. So while that's not the role that she's going to be playing, she's certainly able to help out in that regard. I know that was a question that came up quite a few times. We will have a full child study team, which I'm excited about, as well as a speech therapist on site. And somebody did ask about the nurse. We do have Ms. Tina Merritt joining us this year coming up. So I am very excited. All of the people with whom I've spoken in the past week and a half are thrilled to be there for your children, for you and your children. The middle school is going to work. There's a lot of information. One of the things I do want to let you know is that I will post this on the website. We will make sure that this is there in case, I know it's a lot of information to absorb at once. However, so from a teacher's point of view, and this is obviously important to some of them, but so that you know what they're doing with their time, it will be a 4-day cycle. So the schedule, sorry about that. There will be a 4-day cycle, A day, B day, C day, and D day. During that 4-day cycle, class periods will be 53 minutes. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But for teachers, on 2 of the 4 days, they will have 5 classes, 1 lunch, and 1 prep period. On the other 2 days, they will teach 4 classes, have 1 lunch, 1 prep period, and 1 duty. Really designed to increase the supervision and awareness around the school. Duties may be anywhere from the hallway to the cafeteria to outside areas during recess, things like that. So the LMS schedule will look like this. Overall, we're talking about a 7-period day. Like I said, there are the 4 days, A, B, C, and D day. If you notice, and this will become a little bit clearer when I share with you a sample student schedule, but you'll notice that students will be expected to arrive at around 8:05. We are looking at some before school programs, and those may be options. However, homeroom will begin at 8:10. Be 4 minutes for morning announcements and things like that. And then following that, it is a 7-period day. If you look, each period is 53 minutes. We'll talk about lunch in a second. And there's 4-minute passing time between classes. The way the building is set up, to the left of the entrance, if you will, is where the gyms, the auditorium, the music rooms, art room are located. And that is where the lockers are located. To the right is the academic wing. All of the academic classes are more or less clustered together on 3 floors. The media center is over there as well. So students really going from one academic class to another academic class will not have a tremendously long walk. However, because they will be going to the gym, back and forth to the gym, or back and forth to other classes, the 4 minutes we believe is a good amount of time to get them there without too much lingering. If you look, you will notice that students have 4 classes, and staff will have 4 classes or 4 periods in the morning. However, they will only see 3 of them each day. So if you notice on A day, they will see classes 1, 2, and 3, but B day, they will see classes 2, 3, and 4, C day 3, 4, and 1, and D day 4, 1, and 2. This should all become a little bit clearer in a future slide. I also want to point out, if you look at period 4, period 4, there are 2 options. A student could have 11:09 to 11:49 lunch, so a 40-minute lunch period, followed by a 53-minute class. So that 53-minute class would run from 11:53 to 12:46. Another option would be for a student to have class from 11:09 to 12:02, and then 5th period have lunch from 12:06 to 12:46. So you will notice that we'll talk a little bit more about how lunch works, but ultimately, if you look to the right, you'll see that again, there are 4 classes, but 3 classes on any given day. One class may run before lunch, or all 3 may be after lunch, depending on the student's schedule. I know this is a lot. It certainly is a little bit difficult to absorb. I've talked to all the teachers. However, know that once it's working and in action, the students will be just fine. So will the staff. So a couple things that I just want to point to. We will have core classes, obviously, and that's the curriculum according to New Jersey Student Learning Standards. There will also be encore classes, and these are the electives that we are using so students can explore their talents and passion in a variety of ways throughout the year and throughout their years in the middle school. And we are also looking at extracurricular activities. While we do not necessarily have support, sports at the middle school yet, we are looking at a variety of clubs and teams and activities, as well as academic support that'll be offered before and after school. So those things we will certainly keep everyone abreast of so that students are aware of when they're happening. And really, it's only with the combination of all three of these things that students will be as successful as they possibly can be. So speaking of encore class options, we are thrilled to be able to offer so many choices for students. You will notice that there are 35 choices for students to take. The way that the encore classes are going to work is that students will have a choice of up to 2 each semester or half year. So students will be able to enroll in 2 courses of their choosing for half a year, and then they will get another 2 the second half of the year. So 4 per year, which really means that over the course of a student's middle school career, if they start in 6th grade at LMS, they can take up to 12 courses and be able to try out new things and really be exposed to things that'll help them not only in high school, but beyond as well. So the only exceptions to the half-year course are band and choir, both of which will run for an entire year. There's also a course that we are calling WIN, which is What I Need, and that is for students who may be at risk for a variety of reasons of not succeeding academically or otherwise. And that course also may be a half year, but maybe for a full year as well. I just want to point out a few courses that we're really excited. A number of the classes that we are offering are ones that teachers who were traditionally elective teachers had done in the past. So there are definitely some art courses, some technology courses, and we're thrilled about those. But our core subject teachers have also been able to add a class to their an elective class to their schedule. So some really creative ones have come up. We're excited to offer broadcast journalism. We're certainly excited to offer a makerspace in our media center. Dissect and discover. Students will have the opportunity to dissect numerous things. We really have tried to mix the sciences, social studies, some that focus on language arts or math. We are offering dancing shoes, so an intro to social dancing. You'll notice quite a few other ones. Life 101, really trying to teach students all they need to kind of get through. There are a number of other things, pop culture, puzzles and games, really looking at popular science and the real science behind it. We have very excited to offer in the beautiful kitchen. We have Tastes Around the World, which marries a number of countries, their history and culture, to the dishes that are created there. And just to go back, I am going the wrong way. I apologize for that. We have culinary calculations, which is really teaching math in terms of measurement and fractions through baking. So lots and lots to offer. We are thrilled. We will have theater available during the school day, as well as yearbook, and really to focus on that mental health and wellness. We're offering yoga and mindfulness as well. So very excited. I know I missed quite a few of them. STEM, a number of courses are being offered that in the past were designated for tag students. However, we are making them available to all students, but really pushing that rigor and helping students to develop the STEM skills that they need. Really exciting courses. We have STEM sports, we have Lego coding, and architecture. So I am thrilled to see what will come out of it. These classes are expected to be a little bit smaller in size, intimate, but really give students an opportunity to grow and learn from what they get out of these classes. Moving forward, this is a sample student schedule. I think it may be a little bit more clear. On this schedule, you'll see that there is homeroom. And then for this student on A day, she or he has ELA, then math, then their first encore class. If you look at B day, the student then math moves up, so they have math, then their encore class, and then Spanish. And then on C day, they have encore, then Spanish, then ELA. And finally, D day, Spanish, ELA, and math. If you notice, a teacher will see his or her students, and students will see the teacher 3 out of every 4 days. So you'll notice here that math is offered on A, B, and D day. ELA is offered on A, C, and D day. Encore 1 is offered A, B, and C. And Spanish is offered B, C, and D. Speaking of world language, every student will get world language as a regular class, not as an elective pullout. However, students who may need remedial courses, I know that was a question that came up before as well. Students who may need remedial courses in English or math will have that as a course, likely in lieu of Spanish during that time. I want to point out something in the afternoon. You'll notice the same rotation where students would have 4 classes, but 3 each day. So here you'll notice on A day, social studies meets A day, C day, and D day. Encore 2 meets A day, B day, and D day. Science is A day, B day, and C day. The one thing I want to point out is that lunch will be married to the course. So in this particular case, social studies runs for that teacher, runs 4th period, and that student would have lunch after social studies. However, on B, C, and D days, the student has lunch before, because Encore 2, this particular Encore class, science and phys ed, run 5th period. The other thing that I do want to point out while we're talking about Encore classes and lunch, all Encore classes as well as lunch will be mixed grade levels. So 6th, 7th, and 8th grade together. We've really, through research, have realized that not only will it give students an opportunity to make new friends and expand their friendships, but also quite a few opportunities for leadership, where students can mentor other students and really develop and grow those bonds that are part of a middle school. There will, of course, be plenty of time for students to be with their own grade level in their core classes, but we want to give that expansion as well. So in terms of room configuration and the rationale behind it, we are dividing the floors by department so that teachers are easily able to collaborate with those teachers who teach like subjects. So for example, if you notice on the first floor, like I had said, there's an arts and athletic wing, and that's where band, choir, art, phys ed, and STEAM are located. However, then if you look at the first floor, that's the language arts floor, and that will have advanced language arts, gen ed language arts, in-class resource, Pullout. All of those teachers will have their own rooms for discussing with students and sharing and obviously teaching. LA Skills will be there as well. The self-contained classroom will be on the first floor, and one of the science classes. So the other thing I do want to note is that there are science labs on each floor, which is why science rooms and those teachers will be vertically aligned. So really just a quick stairway down to their counterparts on the other floors, but we want to make sure that the science teachers have the facilities that they need for labs. And each science room is connected to another science room with a lab prep room in the middle. It's absolutely gorgeous. So on the second floor, you'll notice there is social studies, ESL, Spanish, and then the humanities supervisor will be able to have an office there. There will also be a tech room, 2 sciences, and the media center is kind of off to the side. On the third floor, again, math, all variations, as well as 2 sciences and a tech room. The science director's office will be there as well. I know that Mr. Greco mentioned it a few times. We certainly want to get you in to see the building. If it's not possible for everyone to come in sooner rather than later to get a tour, I would love to have the opportunity to do a virtual tour, and we can look into the possibilities of doing that. Finally, close to finally. So middle schoolers want to know, and my guess is that many of you want to know this as well. So there are a couple things. Lunch will be assigned periods 4 and 5, and a class will run the opposite period, like we discussed when looking at the schedule. There will be open seating. However, students will remain on the grounds in the building for lunch. Roughly 150 students can eat at one time. There is what's set up almost like a college food court where students go through and can pick their food if they're buying lunch, and then they exit through an area with a POS system or a point of service system for them to pay. There are numerous tables set up as well as stadium steps for students to eat. Students will have 20 minutes where they have the time to eat, and then 20 minutes where there is recess, for lack of a better word. The media center will be available during that time. Some clubs may meet at that time. There is a huge open veranda on the back of the building where students can go outside for air, and certainly can also go down to the outside area grounds during that time, which will all be fully supervised. In terms of discipline, and I know a number of people brought up questions about bullying, but also uniform policy and dress code, things like that. We have a discipline committee that will be meeting next week, so we are certainly going to make all of that crystal clear. There will be a code of conduct that will be given to students at the onset of school that they will be responsible for reading through and understanding, and it'll be shared with parents as well. There will be a point system all logged in real time where students, where there are demerits, if you will. However, most importantly, we will have a positive behavior system where rewards will be given for not only individuals, but groups working together. So we're really working with a committee to make sure that all of those things are laid out up front for the students. And yes, consequences will be given when necessary, but we really want to focus on giving the positive for a job well done. Couple other things, lockers. So phys ed will be different than it has been in the past. Students will have phys ed or health as a period, just like any other period. So they will see their teachers 3 out of every 4 days in a cycle. They will have phys ed for 3 of the 4 marking periods, and they will have health for 1 of the 4 marking periods. Phys ed clothes are going to be expected to be washed and returned weekly, and they will have a locker assigned where they will be expected to change clothes in the locker room daily, every day that they have phys ed. Obviously not necessary for health class. Lockers, we talked about a little bit. So lockers are assigned they will be assigned in grade level clusters. They're near the cafeteria, gyms, and auditorium. They are not in the academic wing. Students will be able to go, obviously, at the start of the day, at the end of the day, and certainly in between classes as well, as their schedule fits. Technology, I know Mr. Greco touched base a little bit. There will be a Promethean board, which is set up, it looks like an interactive flat screen TV in every classroom. So students will be able to utilize that. There's a lot of connectivity to the Chromebooks, so that students are able to connect directly through various applications. The other really cool thing, the Chromebooks that we're looking at are not only Chromebooks, but the screen flips over, and they can become tablets, which are great for kind of the best of both worlds. The tablets are great for graphing and things like that. Paperless communication via Google Classroom in real time. This is something we are really piloting, going fully paperless. So we will certainly send out announcements to students through Google Classroom, to you through real time, but really trying to do away with paper and go more green. Obviously, every middle schooler wants to know about socialization. Certainly, there are opportunities before and after school. We're also 4-minute passing time. And like I said, if students are going from an academic class to an academic class, there are huge, large, gorgeous hallways that really can be used as classrooms and will be used as classrooms as well. But students will have plenty of time to talk then. And finally, through, again, the mixed grade electives, lunch, and recess, there will be a lot of opportunities for them to socialize with their peers, let alone in the controlled chaos, as Mr. Greco said, within the classroom. Certainly when students are in groups, they will have those opportunities as well. So just in closing, and I will certainly look through some of the questions, but in closing, I am very excited to join all of you to make LMS a success. The enthusiasm that I've been hearing and witnessing is contagious, and I am certainly a part of it. Should you have any questions, certainly feel free to reach out to me, Shana Wright at lyndhurst.k12.nj.us. But right now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and look at some of the questions to see if there are any we can answer now, if that's okay, Mr. Greco. And then if not, I will well, certainly get back to anybody.
If I could just jump in for 1 second, Mrs. Wright. After my presentation, I had a little bit of an issue with my screen, and like a lot of us, I guess we're all learning new things. I think I mentioned the issue with the participants in the beginning, which we addressed, and we'll address it even more moving forward. I just wanted to take 30 seconds to introduce Mrs. Shana Wright officially as the principal. She also mentioned Teresa Brennan, who's been a director in the district, on a supervisor, then went back to a teacher after there were some budgetary issues, definitely not because of her performance, and is now a director currently, and was approved by the board in April to be the assistant principal in the middle school. So I wanted to mention both of them. I think they're going to do an excellent job, and we definitely have a lot of questions in here. So I'm going to Mrs. Wright's going to look through them, and some of them maybe teeter in between district and middle school. And we're recording this meeting, and we're going to obviously keep the questions in a file and, reach out and put them in something in the near future in terms of frequently asked questions or something like that. But, I know Mrs. Wright, as she was going, was kind of seeing some and answered 4-minute passing time. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mrs. Wright.
Awesome. I'm just going to go through from when I started and see the questions that are here, but we've already discussed transportation. How does LMS form a PTA? If someone's volunteering, we're thrilled. So, but really we will start to form that. I know a number of parents have reached out to me already and are interested in doing so. So you will certainly get information and notice about that. And we appreciate and would love for anyone to get involved. So things. So there are, I think I answered it later on, but just to reiterate, there are going to be 2 lunches and 4 halves of lunches. However, a student may not always be in the same lunch, so there will be lots of opportunities for mixing with different kids. Students will certainly be allowed outside during lunch, but not out of the school grounds, not off of school grounds. I know that right now there is open lunch and students can go, to local restaurants and things like that. That won't be possible at the middle school. However, please note that I'm not sure you're going to want to. So the cafeteria is incredible. 30-foot glass ceiling, glass windows overlooking the city, and a huge food court style lunch available. Lots of time to hang out and talk to friends and refresh for the rest of the day. Will there be an online look of the school when it's finished? As soon as I'm able to take pictures and get some things out there, I certainly will. I think that would be great to be able to post. We just want to make sure that everything's all set and ready first. Okay. Okay, people seem excited about the encore classes available. One of the things, everyone who is going to be in Lyndhurst Middle School was sent today the LMS program of studies, but what we will do is post it on the website as well. So there is a description of all the electives in there, as well as all of the core courses. So the core and encore courses, as well as the schedule, all of that was sent to the families of LMS students, but I will make sure that that gets posted on the website as well. Oh, very good question. Will the encore classes be a rolling curriculum, or will the same information the first half be taught the second half? So students cannot, at this point, take the same course during their time in middle school. So it is a one-time course. They will get that exposure. What we are looking forward to doing, because it is the same curriculum, and this year especially, we are offering the same electives in the fall and in the spring. However, what we are hoping to do down the line is to offer courses that have prerequisites. So for example, if there's Lego coding, and then there may be advanced Lego coding or Lego coding 2. So where a student would have had to complete the first course in order to be able to take the second course. Similarly with art classes, there might be 2D drawing and design, and then students who have mastered or become more proficient in that, there would be an advanced course from there. So the first year, we are offering the courses the same in the fall and in the spring to give as many students as possible an opportunity to take them. And we are going to give preference to 8th graders because they will only have 4 electives to choose from before they're out of the building, whereas other students have an opportunity to take them next year. Okay.
If I could just jump in, Mrs. Wright,
Sure.
If you could just limit, we have some really good questions in here. And I know some of our students out there are, if it's a question, it's fine. But if you guys can try to use a different platform to have a conversation, it'll help us kind of get through the questions. And maybe even be able to, for people, we would also be able to give people a chance to ask more. So if I can ask you guys to just, so I want to leave you guys in here so you can see and hear, but if you could please just let it be questions, because again, we have some really good questions. Thank you, Mrs. Wright.
Sure. So somebody had asked if there's only 4 days of school. No, there are going to be 5 days of school, but it's a 4-day rotation. So meaning if it's a typical week, and it starts on a Monday, we would have A, B, C, D, and then it would start over again with A. So that particular week would have 2 A days, but then the following Monday would be a B day. So it's just an ongoing rotation. We already have a calendar set up that we will certainly get out to you in the beginning of school. So you will know each rotation. You will certainly know which classes to go to. Don't worry about that. I fully agree. World language is critical to students learning language. Speaking Spanish myself, it has helped me tremendously and has improved my English skills. We are going to help students master English first through remedial classes, and then should they be able to go to Spanish classes. However, there again are only so many hours in the day, so we want to make sure students are able to do all of those things and without being pulled out of classes that they have currently. So that will be in remedial classes, will be part of a student's schedule. So that they are not pulled from something else. I can speak to the lower grades, but I know that we are certainly working together. I've been working with the other principals, speaking to them, and we are very much collaborating to make this a tremendous district together. Will there be a map of the school? Yes, I assume, but I wouldn't worry about it. The students will pick it up immediately, and when you come in for hopefully, you know, back to school night and things like that, they'll be good to go.
And I'll just jump in if there is some, you know, there's so many different things that may happen. If there is some restriction in terms of a back to school night, but we can have school, like we're going to have it whenever we can fully. So, you know, and if we have to have it more than one, you know, we'll make it work.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll do something. Maybe it'll look like this, but we will definitely have something available. Is there an actual library? Yes, it's a media center, if you will. It's gorgeous. It looks like a carpeted ballroom when I was in there. So it is. It will have tons of material, at least computer-wise, and we are working on building books and periodicals as well, but things take time, so it will be a little bit of time. Students will have 4 minutes. Somebody responded to that, and we are really hoping again for a virtual tour, but I think that the 4 minutes should be just fine. The same food services are going to, that are in the elementary schools now, are going to be housed and operating out of the middle school, but because of the space and prep area for them, I think the options will be even greater. We are working on scanning cards, so ID cards. We're working on how ID cards will work and if it's possible to put lunch money on those accounts. So that is something on our radar and something that we're working on. So typically there's a question about opening lockers and things like that. Absolutely, it's challenging. It's something that all middle schoolers have to deal with and have to learn how to do. There will certainly be time in the beginning of the year for doing that, but also if we are able to do an orientation for students, whether it's you know, towards the end of this school year or in the summer, whenever we are, you know, certainly cleared and able to do so, we will do that. We'll have locker practice, all of that. So a number of people are concerned about changing in front of one another. I can tell you the locker rooms are large and there are bathrooms and things like that. It's certainly something that will be worked through. Phys ed teachers will help address it, but certainly nothing to be overly concerned about. It's something that kind of a rite of passage that we will make as easy as possible. There are certainly areas where you will be able to change where you are not in front of others. I can tell you some people are concerned about students not being prepared for the rotating schedule. I have to tell you, in my experience, they'll be just fine. It'll take you know, a week, maybe 2, for them to get used to it, but they will do phenomenally well. Often what we do is have students rewrite their schedule in a way that is very clear. What do you have on a day? This, and this. They stick it in their locker. They know exactly what books to get when. We will have those templates available for them. The first couple of days of school will be time for the homeroom teachers to sit with students and really work through not only their schedule, but practicing their locks and all of the things that students are nervous about. So we understand that, and we will certainly be able to do that. So students will be expected to change for hygiene reasons. However, you know, if you wear sneakers that day, you can certainly wear the same sneakers, but we are asking students to change. That's something else that, you know, the phys ed department will discuss with regard to policy, and everybody will be fully aware of it before school starts. Making fundraising paperless, I would love it. I think that would be helpful, or at least to give the option to do it both ways. Certainly having the PTO or PTA, you know, help with that would be phenomenal. Okay. Just if anybody, if you are looking for my email address, I don't have an underscore between my first and last name. It's just Shana Wright straight. So just in case anybody's emailing me and it's not going through, that's why.
And Ms. Wright, just so everybody knows that the district did convert to not everybody having to have an underscore. So I believe even mine is with or without. So Ms. Wright is definitely without, but for the ones that were here with the underscore, they still work either way.
Thank you. A breakfast program, yes, that's something I've worked with Ashia's on. We are certainly planning to do so. The specifics about that will be rolled out. We would love to offer breakfast as well as other options, you know, possible, you know, study groups and clubs and things like that in the morning. Give us a little time to figure it out, but it is something that we've been discussing since I got here. So we're really hoping to do that. Just trying to see if there's anything different that I haven't touched on.
Student asked about opening lockers. They'll have time to learn how to do that.
Yep. We talked about that definitely at an orientation, but if not, certainly, you know, the first week of school and things like that, there'll be plenty of time to practice. The other thing, and I'm not 100% on this, but I believe that the locks for the hallways are built in. However, students will need to purchase a lock, I believe, for the locker rooms in the gym. So that's something, don't go out and buy one right now. I will confirm that and certainly let you know as soon as possible, but that could be something that you do. All locks work the same way, you know, right, left, go around, right again. So that's something that you can certainly practice at home.
Question about I'm sorry, Ms. Wright, about how will 3rd to 5th grade children be prepared to handle such an ambitious rotating schedule when they reach LMS? That's something that we'll do with our orientations that we would have during a normal time. Also, one of the things I spoke about in my presentation was a change to Chromebooks, and I know Mr. DeCorso has worked with me to talk about outfitting our 3rd to 5th grade buildings with Chromebooks. So a lot of the things that we'll be doing in the middle school will kind of carry in the 3rd through 5th grade building will carry on into the middle school. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Wright.
No, that's great. It seems like some students are still having a little bit of or parents are having trouble getting in to the Google form. Certainly reach out and let us know. Our understanding, you know, now students have been emailed it as well. So most are really actually able to do that.
Here's a random question about making fundraising paperless. We're looking at all those options. Yeah.
Oh, we talked about that one. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Any support with that would be great. It's how will, a question about students who have IEPs and pullout services and how will their services be addressed. All IEPs will be followed completely. One of the things that we are doing is that the special educators in both English and math will be teaching one grade level, but they will teach the pullout and the in-class support for that grade level. So those teachers will really get to collaborate with another teacher, but also have that flexibility and be fully aware of the students' needs. The pullout services, students will be in their classes. Those classes will be included as part of their schedule. Will there be a supply list coming out in the summer? Yes. However, just be aware that the supply list may look a little bit different. One of the most important things that you probably need is a thumb drive because there will be Chromebooks. Other than that, yes, of course, pens, pencils, notebooks, that sort of thing. We will try to get that out for you as soon as possible. And once you have the teachers, they'll be able to communicate with you directly. One of the biggest thing, it's a big building. How are we keeping students safe and bully-free environment? The biggest thing is prevention, and that comes from vigilance and really being out there. So both Ms. Brennan and I have talked extensively about being visible, being public, making sure that students and staff are aware and see us everywhere, and the staff is on board with that as well. So we're really excited to get started. There are quite a few questions, or not quite a few, 2 questions about remedial being an encore class. There are possibilities. We've looked into that, and that's a possibility. It's something that we're looking at, but we really want to make sure that students are able to share and express their talents creatively as well. So we're certainly looking into that, but I think that everything will pan out on an individual basis. Question about National Junior Honor Society. Yes, that is expected. We will certainly be doing that. Uniforms and how that's going to take place, we will let you know. As I said, the committee is meeting next week, and we're going to start to flesh out some of those plans, obviously within the district policy. Drop off procedures in terms of and multiple exits off the campus. I know that those are still things that are being worked out. A lot of that is from the town. We understand that there are questions and concerns. I have them as well. So we're hoping to get there. With the rotating schedule, kids are no longer guaranteed to be with the same block of kids. No. So the whole idea of middle school is we really want kids to meet other kids. They'll certainly get to stay with students that they know, but every class period will be a different configuration, a different mix of students, which will be more resembling the high school. So students will not travel in packs, if you will. They will get to share and experience different things. And just because, for example, a kid is in advanced language arts doesn't necessarily mean he or she is in advanced math. So they'll have the opportunities to be in different classes with different students, in some cases based on level, in some cases based on affinity. But they will get to meet lots of new kids. Another question about entrances for emergency personnel to access the school in case of emergency and plans to evacuate the children safely. Yes, all of those things will need to be in place if they're not already in order for the building to open. I can tell you that there are ways, even though it looks like it's blocked off, there are removable I can't think of the word right now, little yellow statue kind of things that are removable in front of the building. So if emergency personnel needs to get in, that will be possible.
I'm looking too.
Security, question about SRO. There will be, there are swipe cards and IDs and magnetic locks and things like that, but there will also be one or more security personnel assigned to the building. We don't know who those people are yet, but we will. A question about how many students or kids per class. It really depends on the class. Our goal is to keep class sizes as small as possible. In an ideal world, numbers wise, based on the number of sections, there wouldn't be any more than 25. Expect there to be a few more in some classes, depending, but in other classes, there may be quite a few less, quite a few fewer, rather.
I'm looking too, Mrs. Wright.
Okay, I am, there are advanced courses. There will be advanced math and advanced ELA. Students and their families received information last week that, or Monday, I think it was Monday of this week, that in 2 weeks, or a week from today, next Thursday, students will be taking sort of a small, quick local assessment, but students are aware of how placement, the criteria for placement has been structured. So there are currently advanced courses in math and in language arts scheduled for next year. And we are hoping, you know, possibly to expand that in the future. But also, you know, like I said, a variety of the encore classes will be available for everyone to really stretch their learning.
There'll still be National Honor Society. I'm not sure if you said that. I've been looking for the.
Yep.
ones we
I'm
haven't
at the
said.
bottom. I'm at the last question.
Yeah,
Will the LGBTQ curriculum be implemented this September? This says in the whole district. I will tell you, it is now law. So it will certainly be addressed in a variety of forms within a variety of classes. So yes, that is certainly something that will be addressed. Do not worry, I don't know, do not worry if you fail the technical writing assignment. There's not a way to fail the technical writing assignment. So please don't be concerned about that. But skills classes for both math and ELA are being used as part of the same rubric. So the same criteria rubric that will place students in advanced classes will also be able to identify students who may be in need of extra assistance in the areas of math and ELA. Is there still 100, 200, and 300 classes? They will not be labeled as such. There will be LA skills and math skills, and then there will be, in ELA, there will be, you know, ELA 6, 7, and 8, and 6A, 7A, and 8A. So advanced, if you will. So similar idea, but not numbered the same way. And then somebody asked again about buses being available. There will be buses for people who are
based on our policy.
beyond, yeah, based on the policy, beyond the limits to walk. Encore classes divided by grades, no. So that's been gone over, you know, a few times, but just those classes will be mixed, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, really to give students opportunities for different friendships, for leadership building, as well as the opportunity for students to take and to be able to be enrolled in more classes. Teachers and staff for the new school, I'm not sure how it's been released or how that would be released, but we're certainly aware of them.
Yeah, we will in the very near future, probably in June.
That's up to you. Also, and what happens if we don't get the elective we want? Are we allowed to change it? There won't be changing it. However, you're picking your top 10. And again, certainly you can send an email to me or to Teresa Brennan. And then, and we will certainly help you do that. But if you can get in by Thursday, if you have any questions or concerns, let us know. But otherwise, you will get your top 10 out of the 35. So I have no concerns about you getting those. And is it possible to publish the floor plan? We will look into that.
Yes. There's also, somebody wants to know where the policy is. On our website, in the left-hand column on the main page of the district website, there is in quick links, it basically says bylaws and policies, I believe. Yes, bylaws and policies for Board of Ed, and the transportation policy is 8600 if you want to look it up. So it's 8600. It's not a long policy. It basically talks about distance as defined by the state of New Jersey, which for a middle school child would be 2 miles, and also routes or areas deemed hazardous by the board. So we'd have to speak specifically about the address for us to know what's deemed hazardous by the board. So that's pretty much the meat and potatoes of it. There's obviously some other things in there, IEP students.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of, there's one other question I'll just address really quickly that just came up in terms of the number of teachers. So teachers aren't necessarily divided by grade level. So there isn't, one 8th grade English teacher, if you will. A teacher may teach 8th grade and 7th grade. However, in terms of sections, there are 25 sections, if you will, offered per subject area. And because there will be the largest 7th grade class next year, so current 6th grade is the largest grade. Next year, 7th grade will be the largest grade. It will be 8 sections in 6th grade of your core subject classes, 8 sections in 6th grade, 8 sections in 8th grade, and 9 sections in 7th grade. If that helps to clarify. On the first day or week, will we receive detention or punishment for being late? No, don't worry about it. There will be at least a 2-week grace period so that everybody can figure things out. Don't worry about being late to class. We'll make sure you're there on time. We want you there so that we can teach you. And I think that more or less covers it. If you think of other things, please reach out and I will get back to you very quickly. I'm super excited to meet all of you in person. Definitely to have the students with us. But I really can't wait to get into the building and show you all what a great place it is, not only because of the facilities, but because of the teachers that we'll have there.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Again, we're not shying away from any questions. Please email that Mrs. Wright if it's middle school specific. If it's something she can't answer, she'll send it to me. I know a lot of you early on in the presentation asked random questions, and I think we addressed them as best as we could, but we definitely, I'm sure, missed some in here. So just reach out to us. And if it's something, whether it's something that's an overall concern for everybody that I could share with the entire district on like a frequently asked questions page, or if it's something that's specific to you that you don't really want to ask right now. I even know some people have messaged privately, like I didn't get to all of them. Just let us know. I'm also going to save these and we'll look through them and make sure we get back to you if we didn't. So again, thank you for coming. And we'll hopefully do something else like this before the end of the year. And like I said earlier, I know some of the big hot button topics throughout the district, graduation, things like that. We're on them. We're working on it every day, and we're getting, information and trying to see what exactly we can do in the safest way possible. So again, thank you, Ms. Wright. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and have a great night.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Got it.